Boom, ba-da-dum. Howdy, welcome to BanjoBenClark.com. I am Banjo Ben, your teacher to teach you how to play banjo and mandolin, but this week is guitar. And if you notice a little something about that ditty I just played, this one I wrote for my dad years ago, but it's in a different tuning. Do you know which tuning? It's in drop D tuning. Do you know how to play in drop D tuning? Well, if you don't, then I'm here to show you today. Today we're going to do an introduction to how to play in drop D tuning. Let me tell you what I'm going to teach you. I'm going to teach you how to get to drop D tuning and why you would want to do it. Both playing ballad stuff like that and also rhythm songs, or faster pick and rhythm. And then we're going to talk about how to get our new chords in a new tuning. We're going to do some practice progressions together so we get some good practice. And then I'm going to show you some licks that are really fun to throw in there, sound really fancy, but they're not hard to do. Everybody loves those. If you're watching somewhere else besides BanjoBenClark.com, I'd love to have you on board there on the site. You can get access to this huge old lesson as well as hundreds of others on all kinds of different instruments. I'd love to have you on board. Most of us start out playing guitar in what I would call standard tuning. That's where we get the good old G chord, the good old C chord, D chord. And often we're playing out of a G position, but we also play out of C positions, D positions, A, E, all kinds of things. But there's times when we might want to use a different tuning. And then we'll talk a little bit more about why we want to do that here in a little while. But first, I just want to tell you how to get to drop D tuning. It's really not difficult. And I would say that there's probably several versions of drop D tuning. You can go steps beyond what I'm going to show you today. But 99% of the time that I play in drop D tuning, I'm going to use the tuning that I'm about to show you. So let's start in standard tuning here. Okay? And that means that our lowest string is an E. And we have A, D, G, B, E. All we're going to change is one string, just the lowest string, and we're going to tune that down from an E note, a whole step, down to a D note. Okay, so we're going to take that note down to boom, a low D. Now, how do we know how far down to go? Well, if you have a tuner, it's not difficult, is it? You just tune down and then kind of tune back up to the note, make sure you're in tune. If you don't have a tuner, it's really simple. We're going to take this low string and we're going to match it one octave beneath your fourth string, which is also a D string, okay? So we're going to get these two strings to match one octave apart. Right now they do not, do they? But if we start tuning down, listen. We're getting closer. Oh. And now they match, okay? So we've taken that low E string, tuned it down a whole step to D. Now it matches our D string just one octave lower. Now, just a little pro tip here. You never want to tune down to a note and leave it there because there's all kinds of things that can stick in our tuners and in the guitar nut and even with our capo sometimes. I like to go beneath the note and then raise it back up. Okay. You just have better playing experience doing it that way. Now, if you want to check it with your frets, you can. You can play your low E string, now it's a D string, on the 7th fret, and it should match your 5th string. So climb up to 7. Make sure that that matches the note on your 5th string. Okay, now we'll talk about all the different chords that we can get because there's going to be some different sounding chords and inversions that we can get in this tuning. But I want to talk just a bit about why we play in drop D tuning. And this is totally a preference thing. There's not a whole lot of songs out there that you say, well, in order to play that song, you have to do it in drop D, unless you're trying to copy a way that somebody plays a certain song. So what is it that makes me think I want to go to drop D? Well, usually I'm playing in the key of D. It's that simple. And whenever D is my root chord, and I'm going to be there a whole lot, I would like to be able to use more of my guitar's voicing. Because think about it this way. When you're in standard tuning and you're playing a D chord, the lowest root note that you can get is that 4th string. So you're sitting there going, and you're jumping back and forth between your 4th and 5th strings for your bass notes. And sometimes you might reach down, put the thumb over or something and get that F sharp. But when you go to drop D tuning, it allows us to lower the voicing of the guitar to where we can get an extra D note way down low. So that it just shifts the whole attitude and approach of your guitar playing. So now, instead of just having to play 4th and 5th strings on the bass, we can go down D. Pretty nice, huh? And it's big. And a lot of guitars love that drop D sound. Like a lot of guitars really start to open up, I think, whenever we're playing in drop D. Here's a cool thing, too. You don't have to just save it for whenever you're in the key of D. I'll often play in drop D, even in the key of G, just depending on the song. But I very often do it when I'm playing in the key of E. You say, how do you do that? How do you play in key of E with drop D tuning? Well, you capo. So you go to drop D tuning, and then you can capo up 2 frets. And guess what that turns it into? It turns it into E whenever we play a D chord. And I like to do that because there's so many licks and cool voicings that I've just worked on out of a drop D position that to me sound better in certain applications than if I was playing out of an E position, which I can do, of course. So, but instead of playing a song in E that has E, A, and B, I can now put a capo on, go to drop D, and play D, G, and A. Okay, so those are just a few reasons that I'm going to use drop D. I love using it on fiddle tunes when I'm picking fiddle tunes like Whiskey Before Breakfast, something like that that's in the key of D, because I'm going to take, kind of like a banjo player using a low drone string, a low bass string. See how great that sounds on the end of phrases? If you're playing something like Angela and the Baker, I like to jump back and forth. Jumping all the way from down low to up top, and it just, especially if you're playing by yourself, it's a wonderful way to accompany yourself because it makes your guitar bigger. So I hope that I've given a decent case, a decent stand for why you might consider playing in drop D and how you get there. Now, we have to approach the guitar a little differently, so we need to learn how to do some of our basic chords. Let's learn how to do a D chord now, or all the different ways that we're going to do it. We're going to learn how to do a G, an A, a B minor, E minor, and how those chords need to be approached a little bit differently. Then we'll practice them together and learn some licks. How about that? If you're watching here on the website, just click on that next video segment. You've got everything you need. Don't forget to download the chord chart and the tab for these licks. And if you're watching somewhere else, why are you? You should be over at banjobenclark.com. Join as a Gold Pick member. Have lots of fun with us over there. Be sure and say hello on the forum.